uncertainties. You seem to agree with him on that.
Sure.
Share with us why.
Yeah. So, you know, already as it exists, there are so many intricacies in the local governance there, as I said. In fact, the Ministry of Local Government has been one of the ministries that has been proactive in trying to design reforms and interventions to make sure that local governance actually works. And to the extent that they have had something they call action plan and local government policy that brings out details as to what they should do. And in fact, when you read the new local governance act, it has a section from 40 to section 48 dedicated to citizens' participation. So it's actually gone ahead, been proactive in making sure that the tenets of local governance, that's governance for the local people, actually works. And I think this materializes when they have the power to elect their own leadership, capping all the reforms that the Ministry of Local Government has already started.
I was just wondering about the guidelines, the sort of guidelines that he's asking for.
Well, so and when you read basic forums that LOGNETs, that the local governance network did in 4 zones, and all that came about is that, yes, we vote for our MDCs. But before we vote for our MDCs, in order for them to be accountable to the people, there should be something like performance contracts. There should be something like benchmark standards that people, civil society organizations, the media can use to measure the performance of these voted for MMDCs.
Do we have that from your assessment?
That's why we are. That's why somebody is just advocating. We are all advocating. So I said in one of my programs that voting or allowing amending 2431 for us to vote for MMDC is just a first step. We need total overhaul and reforms to make sure that they are actually accountable to the people.
I hope we get there, because it's very easy for our politicians to take advantage of this system again, so then we don't even change the status quo. But for now, we need to get you out there to go vote. And so far, the messages are good. Everybody says, so far, what I've read, everybody says they were good. Good afternoon, Martin. Owusu Boating in Kumasi. Ghanaians must go out to vote on 17 December and elect competent persons to steer the affairs of the various districts. So it seems as though people get the understanding of what we're doing here. Let me see if I can get a lot more messages. So, I mean, I know it can get frustrating when you send a message and you don't hear it read on the TV. Abbas Amogobo from Offenso says this government didn't handle the financial sector well. NPV must be removed. Okay, so you're talking about the financial sector. Let's look at those who have messages on the referendum. Wilfred in Sifu says we citizens of the country must vote in the referendum because we are supposed to choose the leader to lead us in the nation. So that is why during any election period, every citizen must be at the post. Let's go on Facebook, see if we can return to our WhatsApp later. Daniel Wusa says, I've actually lost interest in some of those electoral processes. The politicians just want to use we, the electorates, to advance their political interests. What at all am I going to gain after wasting precious time to vote in the last general election only to be put in further hardship? Your reaction to that message?
So yes, I mean, when you do a big survey, actually we did a baseline survey on the social accountability project that we're doing, and the apathy level at the against the district level governance is very, very high. And people don't actually take interest in what's happening around them. It's all because of the unfulfilled promises. And you know, it is basic because in local governance, there's strict condition as to how the local governance development planning is prepared. In fact, there's strict guidelines that you do it to the community people. So every 4 years, you go there to take their input as to what they want to be done for them. But yet you are not able to fulfill that.
These are proposals of the guidelines that we don't have yet.
No, we have, for planning, we have the guidelines. That's why the National Development Planning Commission is there. They have something called medium development plan guidelines. And it actually enjoins all district assemblies to meet with the people that we call community needs assessment. Ask them what they want, their priorities, to be inculcated into the plan. But every year we go and repeat, we don't fulfill. So people have become apathetic. They think, oh, it's the usual business.
And so I refer you to this message. This guy says, he's actually a top fan, meaning he comments all the time. He says, I don't see the importance of our leaders, so no vote again. So he's saying he's not going to be a part of those who are voting. Ed Herodotus, very interesting names you guys put on Facebook. He says, until I am paid $500 million, I guess you are trying to say I will not vote. Don't get me wrong, because Referendum will not put food and water on my table, nor that can pay my bills or reduce the skyrocketing prices of foodstuff items, commodities, my rent, my fuel, PDS bill, water bill, medical bills, and the children's school fees. Well,
but we are voting for people who take decisions on our behalf.
That's why they're saying the solution.
Yeah.
The guy doesn't see the correlation between
that's why I said
a better life for himself.
There should be guidelines ahead for us to be. Governance is you and I. How do we hold these people accountable? If you continue to throw your arms in dismay, people are going to continue to mesmerize your life and mismanage your resources. True. So we should all get involved. I always liken sitting aloof while not taking a major decision like this. It's just like giving your life to a caretaker. If you don't select better caretaker, even your pill will not be bought for you. So we need to get involved in every action that determines our future by determining who becomes our leader, especially at the local level, where development is the fulcrum. And
so let me read this message to you. It says, some of the MMDCs do not respect the people and also misuse resources because they are appointed. Voting them will make them work hard. Rahim from Wa. And I'm reading all these messages because I want to make a quick note on that. And then notice, with the hope that we're building in people to go out and vote in this referendum, after they voted 4 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, they don't see if they don't feel that change, they don't feel that something has changed as far as that their lifestyle, their communities are concerned, will they not feel even more disillusioned?
It's practical. It's practical that people do, but we also have a problem, a challenge in Ghana and most developing countries that we believe accountability is only at the polls. That isn't exactly what should happen. Even though I also don't agree with people who take dubious measures of accountability by throwing fees in the offices of or seizure of offices. Post-election accountability is what you should even be more prone to, what you should be looking at for. What do we do in between elections as citizens? How do we put our leaders on their toes to work as they were? That's why somebody said we need a checklist, a measurable indicator that will guide us to measure what is. One of the problems and challenges at the local level is that people don't even know they have a development plan. So when they are making demands on the district assembly, they don't know what the demands they are making is even within what has been planned for, or is within the limits of the district assembly. So these are some of the challenges. But I think with education, advocacy, some of these things, with time, people will get to understand what they should be doing as citizens. We also have responsibilities that we need to do as citizens.
Very well, very well. Let's take this round of messages and then we call it a wrap. But very insightful conversations we've had. This guy actually has a question. I believe we've answered it already. He said, I support the reforms to vote for MMDCEs. But the question is, will the different parties have to undergo MMDCE primaries too? Hashtag democracy rules, he says. Will they be doing primaries?
Sure. So two things. If Parliament is able to amend, I learned they are coming just next week, they are resuming sitting next week, amend 2431, that means automatically in future we are going to vote for MMDCs. Okay. If citizens go to the polls in December and also amend 55.3, it means political parties can get. So what happens at the national level? That political parties go on primaries to elect, as even now they are doing. It's the same thing that they are going to do, but we also have people who can stand independent, as we have at the national level. So it's going to be the same thing that we have. That's why we said,
thing at the national
it should
level.
Be in sync. We have to see. We can't superimpose.
Think what happens at the national level.
We can't superimpose democracy on
But hopefully we will not bring the problems at the national level.
That's what we seek to do.
to the local level. So Nanajwa says there should be more education on the voting to allow political. I didn't even finish, but he says with you, Nanajwa. Sure. There you go. He says there should be more education on the voting to allow political parties to participate. It looks exciting that we are voting for MMDCs, but the main issue is the voting for the political parties' involvement. Can we take politics out? Nanajwa, we can't do that from the advocacy we're receiving. It's saying that would be better to have it done in the open, so we can regulate it, essentially. Party delegates, you say, will still select and impose candidates on us. I wish we vote no for these political party involvements. Unfortunately, we don't have too much time to get into a lot more on this, but so far, a lot more of the messages say they'll go out to vote. A lot of you say you go out to vote a yes. Others also have their own concerns on the side, which are legitimate concerns as well. But the good thing is, let's vote it in. Let's see how we can reform the systems. At least we've seen how we've done it at the national level over the years. We've learned some lessons. Let's bring the correction of those lessons at the local level, see how it works. Finally, this message from Joseph in Obuase. Chuku Joseph in Obuase says, I will go and vote yes, God willing. Gifty, the man in the studio, is telling the truth. District Assembly elections is purely partisan, and I know the same way MMDC election will be. God have mercy on Ghanaians. Well, thank you very much. Nana Brown Pamensa, thank you so much for coming. Very insightful conversation. Right. So, bottom line, let's go out on the 17th of December to vote, and we're voting a yes.